to the next session on operations research. In this session, we will take up the concept of inventory models. An inventory model is a mathematical approach used to determine the optimal quantity and timing for ordering inventory to meet demand while minimizing costs. Inventory models are critical for supply chain and operations management because they help balance inventory holding costs, ordering costs, and storage costs. So, inventory model that we are taking up is actually a mathematical approach where you can decide when you are going to order for a particular raw material, when it will arrive at your workstation, how you can keep it in the inventory, how you can bring it from the inventory to your shop floor, process the entire raw material, make it into a finished good, and then when you require to deliver it to your customers, you can deliver. But again, after the shop floor, the material goes into the inventory for storage and will wait there till it is transported to your customer. So this inventory model is all about storing in the inventory. When do you order for raw materials, or how do you store the finished products? How do you go about with the holding cost? Because whatever you are holding, be it the raw materials or in process goods or maybe the finished products, everything will have some cost associated. There will be ordering cost. Say if you order at the last moment for the raw materials, then your cost will be more. If you order it beforehand, then it's good. But if you order too much before time, again you will have to store in the inventory and the charges are going to increase. There is also something called a shortage cost. Suppose if you are running short of material, then you will have to pay for it. Say if you are not able to give the goods to the customer, you produce less in number, then the customer remains unsatisfied. Or maybe if you are falling short of raw materials when you are in the process of making goods, again you will have to pay for the shortage of the material. Here are some common types of inventory models. The first one is called as economic order quantity. It is called as EOQ model. The EOQ model calculates the idle order quantity that minimizes total inventory cost, including holding cost and ordering cost. So what happens is here you are going to decide what is the idle order quantity such that you will reduce your total inventory cost of storage, be it your raw materials or finished products. Also, you will be reducing the cost of holding and ordering charges. Assumptions: demand is constant, ordering and holding cost are fixed, and there is no lead time. So here there are few important assumptions made in this model. First is the demand is constant. So you will have a constant demand coming of say 10 products every month, Jan, Feb, March. This is called as demand is constant. So in this case, ordering and holding costs are also fixed. So whatever charges are for the ordering of the material or holding of the material in the inventory, they are all fixed. And there is no lead time. That is the time between the placing of the order and the receiving of the goods. So there is no lead time as such. Whenever you satisfy the demand, it's fine. So the formula over here is EOQ is equal to root of 2ds upon h, where D stands for the annual demand, S will stand for ordering cost per order, H will stand for holding cost per unit per year. So per unit of the product per year, how much charges are required is your holding cost, then you have ordering cost and the annual demand. So when you substitute these values, you will get the economic order quantity value, EOQ value. Next is economic production quantity, EPQ model, like the EOQ model, but used when production happens in batches, meaning inventory is replenished gradually rather than instantaneously. So here, whatever inventory is required, it is going to be replenished gradually. Say in the month of Jan, you require 150 quantity of some raw material. Then in the next month, you will require again 150, or you require 200, whatever it is. So it will come gradually. If you suddenly require material, then this model is not for it. Or if you require it instantaneously, like for today, suppose there is a sudden demand and you want this 200 to change to 300, it is not possible in this model. Ideal for manufacturing environment. So where you have to produce and give it to the market over a period of time gradually, that's where this model is used. So EPQ formula is root of 2 days upon h into 1 minus small d by p. D, S and H. These terms are the same as the one which you saw over here. D, S and H. So what is small d and small p? Small p stands for production rate and D stands for demand rate. So based on that you can calculate. Third one is reorder point, ROP model. Determines the level of inventory at which a new order should be placed to avoid stockouts. ROP is calculated based on the lead time and average demand during that lead time. So here you will determine the level of inventory at which you are going to place a new order. Say you know that your inventory right now has say 150 quantity of the raw material that you need, and then slowly it gets down to 50. So at this point you need to make an order of say a new stock, that is say 150 at a time. So this now becomes 200. Again this reduces to 50. At this point you make a new order of 150. So this is where your reorder point comes into picture, and this is done to avoid stockout. Stockout means you completely run out of any stock material, so it directly becomes zero. And if it is zero, your production will stop. At 50, at least the production will continue. So this is called as reorder point. It is calculated based on the lead time and the average demand during that lead time. So lead time is again from the time of order to the time of delivery. So based on this time, you are going to decide where to reorder, and also it depends on the average demand during this lead time. So in this lead time, if the average demand is constant, you can go ahead with this. But if at all there is a sudden surge, that is increase in demand, then you may have to add more reorder points. Formula is ROP is D into LT. D stands for demand per period, LT is the lead time. The fourth one is safety stock model. Adds a buffer to prevent stockouts due to demand or lead time variability. So here what is done is there is a buffer added. Buffer means you suddenly add some material into the inventory. Like suppose I was running at 50. So from 150 when I went to 50, there is a buffer of say 100 added over here, and then you go ahead, you make an order over here, but you also add a buffer. Safety stock level is typically calculated based on the desired service level, demand variability, and lead time variability. So, if there is a variation in the demand, sudden increase or decrease in demand, that time buffer is required. Or if there is a variability in the lead time itself. So, if the customer suddenly wants the product and he has already said that I need in the month of April, but in the month of March, if the customer suddenly says that I need the product, then this is called as lead time variability, where the customer itself has suddenly required the demand. So you need to have safety stock such that you do not fall short of providing the products to the customer on time. ABC analysis. This is a very important analysis of inventory model. ABC analysis categorizes inventory into three classes based on importance. The first one is A items, that is high value, low quantity. B items, moderate value and quantity. C items, low value, high quantity. This helps prioritize inventory management efforts. So there will be three categories of items in your inventory always, whatever type of company it is. But A, B, C is always going to be there, where A stands for high value raw material. So what you do is you always bring it lower in quantity, because if it is not in use, or say the customer suddenly cancels the order because of any reason, then your material goes waste. So high value products you always buy in low quantity, moderate value you buy in moderate quantity, and when the C items, that is your low value items are there, what you do is you always get it in high quantity and you store it in the inventory, because you know that you can use it over a period of time. If not in one product, you may use it in some other product. So we will see this analysis in detail in some other session. The next one is just in time, JIT. This is again a very important concept of operations research, a strategy that aims to reduce in-process inventory and associated costs by receiving goods only as they are needed in the production process. Requires precise demand forecasting and a highly reliable supply chain. So, if there are companies who have a very good demand forecasting team and also they have very reliable supply chain, so they know that as soon as they place an order, whatever products are required, the raw materials will come immediately. Then it will go into the workspace. The products will be produced, they'll go into the inventory. From here, they'll go for transportation to the customer. So, if you know that this supply chain is highly reliable and there is no chance of flaw, then just in time inventory is possible. That is, as soon as you require, you place an order, you will get the material and you can start with your work. But if this is not possible, then it is better to go for safety stock or reorder points so that you know that your company is able to produce the products on time and supply to the customer. You should always remember that whether we are talking about supply chain management or a subject like operations research, customer is always king. If you are not able to satisfy the customer on time, your business will lose its brand value and it is not going to be in the market for too long. Over a period of time, it will see a downfall and it may even shut down. So you have to be careful with the lead time, or when you are promising the customer of the delivery, you should be very careful. Otherwise, if the supply chain is not managed properly, your company can have a shutdown situation also, and it has happened in the past with many companies. So this has to be taken care of. The next one is vendor managed inventory, VMI. In VMI, the suppliers manages the inventory levels of their products at the retailer's or manufacturer's site. Benefits include reduced stockouts and optimized stock levels based on real-time sales data. So here what happens is, in vendor managed inventory, there is a vendor who is managing this inventory level. So you are actually managing your inventory not at your own company's site or your manufacturing site. You're managing it at the retailer's or the manufacturer side itself. So wherever your raw material is, you preserve it there. You order when you require. You use it, produce your goods, give it to the customer. The benefits over here are reduced stockouts. So suppose there are chances of stockouts because you feel that the vendor will provide you the material. You have made a hypothesis and you are going ahead with it. I'm going to place the order. The vendor is going to send the material, but it is possible that the vendor has already given the material to some other company for production. And when you place the order, you do not get the raw materials on time. So in that case, it is very difficult situation for the company to handle such situations. So in this case, what you can do is, if you have your stock maintained with the retailer or the manufacturer itself, so whenever you order, they know that they are liable to give you the material on time. So this is another way of managing inventory. And here also you will have optimized stock levels, because you are not getting extra material, you are neither running out of stock. You have already told the retailer or the manufacturer to keep the raw materials ready. As soon as you require, you get how much you require, you produce your products, and the work is done. So this is also based on the sales data, the real-time sales data. Because if you know that there is a sudden surge, you can place more order and you can get the raw materials. Or if there is a sudden decrease, you can get same, instead of getting 150 pieces, which is the regular count, you may just bring in 100, produce and finish off the job. If there is a decrease, or if there is a sudden surge, you can again place a bigger order. Say you can get 300 pieces, get the work done and finish off the order. So based on how the sales are going on, you can also get the inventory. This is called as vendor managed inventory. The last one is single period inventory model. This is also called as news vendor model. It is used when items have a short life cycle or a single selling period, such as newspapers or fashion items. So this is an example of this type of inventory model. It balances the cost of overstocking and understocking to find the optimal inventory level. So I'll just quickly tell you what is this news vendor model. This model is based on the idea that the news vendor tries to decide how many copies of newspaper he is going to buy each morning. The news vendor has to sell every copy each day. Suppose if he gets say 15 copies of Times of India, he will try to sell all the 15 copies in the day. Because if he is not able to sell the 15 copies, say he is able to sell only 13, two copies remain with him. These copies are worthless because if the newspaper is of today, no one will buy the newspaper on the next day. People want to read today's newspaper on the same day, not on the other day. It is very rare. You may think that there are people who buy later on and they read, that's okay. I mean, if they miss the newspaper because of outstation duties or something, but that's a very rare case. So what happens is if these two copies are left, the newspaper vendor will lose out on the amount of these two newspapers. So the model can be applied to a variety of problems. For example, seasonal decisions. So suppose if you are talking about umbrellas, this is a very seasonal decision. You require umbrellas mainly in the rainy season. So that's where the companies prepare ahead of time of the number of umbrellas they are going to sell in the market based on say previous few years, selling quantity. So this is also a example over here. Competitive market and uncertain demand. These are also places where this kind of newspaper vendor model can be applied. Because if you look at this newspaper or the umbrellas, they are all uncertain demand. You don't know. It is possible that in a particular year, if there is a forecast that it is going to rain lesser in a particular area, and this forecast has come just before it is going to start raining, then it is possible that the company has already manufactured many umbrellas based on the previous few years' data. They are not aware that this year it is not going to rain so much. So it is possible that people may not buy too many umbrellas in that year. So these are uncertain demand which happen in the market. So I'll conclude these models can be adapted or combined based on the type of product, demand variability, lead times, and business objectives. So you have to decide what is the type of business that you are doing, what is the situation of your supply chain, how is your company working, and accordingly you should decide on the model that you are going to use. It is not that a particular model will be used in all cases. So with this, I end the session. I hope you have understood the basic concept of inventory model. If you have any doubts, please write to me in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for latest video updates. See you in the next session. Thank you.